So, you're tackling the ASVAB General Science Test? It covers a ton of stuff, but some topics are just fundamental. Today, we're going to zero in on one of them, the absolute basics of chemistry, starting with what everything is made of. We're talking elements and the periodic table.
Here's our game plan. We'll start with the atom, then see how those atoms build up to make the elements you see on the periodic table. After that, we'll put our knowledge to the test with a real practice question, and I'll wrap things up with the key takeaways you'll want to remember for the exam.
All right, let's jump right in. Let's start with a really big but simple question. What is all the stuff in the universe? You know, the air you're breathing, the device you're watching this on, you. What is it all fundamentally made of?
Well, the answer is the atom. The easiest way to think about it is like the ultimate Lego brick. If you have a bar of pure gold, the atom is the smallest little piece you can possibly have that is still fundamentally gold. If you break it down any further than that, it's just not gold anymore.
Now this is where it gets really cool. These Lego bricks, they aren't solid little balls. Every single atom in the entire universe, from the simplest hydrogen to the most complex uranium, is actually built from a combination of just 3 even tinier particles.
Okay, so you've got 2 particles that are total opposites when it comes to electrical charge. Right in the dense center of the atom, that's called the nucleus, you'll find the protons, which carry a positive charge. And then you have these tiny, negatively charged electrons just zipping around that nucleus.
And then there's the third particle, which is also hanging out in the nucleus, the neutron. And yeah, just like the name sounds, it's neutral, no charge whatsoever. Its main job is to kind of act like a glue, keeping all those positive protons packed together instead of repelling each other and flying apart. So let's put it all together. That's the basic blueprint for every atom out there. You've got a central nucleus, jam-packed with positive protons and neutral neutrons, and you've got negative electrons orbiting that core.
Okay, so we've got the atom down, but how does this simple little structure create all the different elements? This part is absolutely key. First off, what even is an element? Well, it's just the purest form of a substance. Think a bar of pure gold, or a tank filled with nothing but pure oxygen. Those are elements. You can't break them down into anything simpler using normal chemical reactions.
But wait a second. That brings up a really important question. If a chunk of gold and a puff of oxygen are both made of the exact same 3 particles, what makes one a shiny heavy metal and the other a gas we need to breathe? This is a concept the ASVAB absolutely loves to test.
And the answer, believe it or not, is incredibly simple, but it is hands down the most important rule in basic chemistry. An element's identity is decided by one thing and one thing only: how many protons it has in its nucleus. That's it. That's the secret.
And that one powerful rule, that the number of protons defines the element, is the entire organizing principle behind chemistry's ultimate cheat sheet, the periodic table.
You see, on the periodic table, every single element gets its own special number. It's called the atomic number. And that number is simply a count of how many protons are in that element's nucleus. It's really that straightforward.
This is what makes it a unique identifier. Think about it. An atom with exactly 1 proton is always hydrogen, period. If it has 6 protons, it's always carbon. 8 protons? That's oxygen. If you change the number of protons, you literally change the element into something else entirely.
Okay, so that's the theory. Let's see how this exact concept gets tested with a practice question you could easily see on the ASVAB.
All right, here we go. Which of the following is equal to the atomic number of a chemical element? Just take a second and think about that one simple rule we just learned.
Look, this question is really just a straightforward vocabulary check. It's asking for the definition of atomic number, plain and simple.
And like we just talked about, the atomic number is the unique fingerprint for every element. And what is that fingerprint? It's the number of protons. The 2 terms literally mean the exact same thing.
And that means the correct answer here is A, the number of protons. See, once you know that one rule, questions like these become so much easier to figure out.
So, let's quickly recap the absolute essentials you need to lock in for test day. Here are the 4 big takeaways. Number 1, every atom has positive protons, neutral neutrons, and negative electrons. 2, an element is just a pure substance made of only one kind of atom. 3, the atomic number is just a fancy name for the number of protons. And finally, and this is the most important one, that proton count is the unique ID for every single element.
Getting this core principle down is a huge deal. It's not just about grabbing points on the ASVAB, it's really the foundation for understanding how the entire chemical world works. You've now cracked the code of the atom. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with that knowledge?